Call it a curse, call it a jinx, call it a hex, whatever you want to call what's going on at MSG. It's not good, and it continues as the Rangers lose another one, this time 3-0 to the Carolina Hurricanes, winless at the Garden. Hey everybody, this is Rangers Daily. I'm your host, Todd Werwa. Please hit me up in the comments, subscribe, leave a thumbs up. I appreciate all the feedback. You can catch me on X and Instagram at Todd Werwa Media. I appreciate if you want to reach out to me there. I'll usually leave a couple of comments, so feel free to reach out, make it a fun conversation. But let's talk about the Ranger game from Tuesday night. It was not very good, to say the least. 3-0 loss. The Rangers have never started with 6 straight losses at MSG. Start the season with 6 straight losses at MSG. They're 0-5-1. That one overtime loss was to San Jose, so that's 1 point out of 6 games. In 1943-44, they started 0-5 with 1 tie, and in 1950-51, they started 0-3 with 3 ties. So they've gone 6 winless, but not 6 losses. That's a first. Ignominious, to say the least. John Giannone put it most succinctly: 6 games, 6 goals, 6 losses, 4 shutouts. Outside of the 5 goals they scored against San Jose in that wide open, crazy game, they've scored 1 goal. Not good at all. And in those 6 games, they've led for 11 minutes and 57 seconds. They haven't even led for 12 minutes over 6 games at home. Their only lead, remember, against the Minnesota Wild, Artemi Panarin scored 57 seconds in and gave the Rangers an early 1-0 lead that they weren't able to hold. They started on time. They had a really good first 10, 13 minutes. With 10 minutes left in the first, they had outshot Carolina 13-4. Then they took back-to-back penalties. They gave up a power play goal, which, of course, they did. Carolina had the worst power play in the league coming in. Carolina wins a face-off. Nick Ehlers has the puck above the dots, not quite the point, but outside above the face-off circles, and just wrists one towards Shesterkin. Seth Jarvis was in front with a little bit of a screen, but it gets by Igor 1-0. So now the thing that him going so well, the PK against the terrible power play, gives up a goal. They had good chances, the Rangers, to start the second. They had a shift where they held the Canes D-men on the ice for more than 3 minutes, the two of them. And this is a Canes defense that has so many injuries. They started 3 rookies, so it should have been a defense that the Rangers could have taken advantage of. But they just didn't. Like I said, they had a shift where the defensive pair was on for more than 3 minutes, and the Rangers couldn't capitalize. And then it becomes 2-0 Carolina. Rangers lose another face-off. Sean Walker from the right point, another low-danger shot, had Jankowski in front, so they had another net front presence. Might have been Borgen, I can't remember. Robertson bumped into Shesterkin. He came out a little far, bumped into Shesterkin sort of after the puck had already gone by him. But another good net front presence from the Hurricanes on a low danger shot that gets by. Igor in the post-game sound said, 2 easy goals got by me. You don't expect that to happen from Igor, but some nights it does. Pyotr Kochetkov made 25 saves, but we'll get into, he was really good early, made the saves when he had to. It just wasn't happening for the Rangers. The scoring drought continues, and some guys had real good chances. Panarin had a grade 8 chance in front. Brodzinski had one. Lafreniere had a beautiful tip chance on a pass from Noah Laba, but he put it wide. JT Miller had a great one in the slot. Guys couldn't score. And Valaket was talking about how all the shots seem to going right in the logo, right into the gut of Kochetkov, just not hitting corners. They're not always elevating the puck the way scorers do. Um, it's not good. Valaket raised an interesting question. He said, "Are we snake bit or just don't have the finishers?" And I'm kind of leaning toward the latter. That's his words. I agree. They need another finisher. We've been saying it. I've been saying it since the beginning of the season, probably since training camp, that they need another finisher. Trocheck coming back will help, but I don't know if he's necessarily the finisher. He might be better up in front of the net on the power play, deflecting, redirecting pucks, getting rebounds, maybe more so than Lafreniere. But we'll see. Right now, they just don't have the finishers to equal the chances. I'll give you this quote from JT Miller, and it kind of, at some point, the same story gets old. He said, "This is where we need to dig deep and carry the load a little and raise our own expectations for ourselves. Not just, quote, we like what we're doing and we're getting looks. It's not really cute anymore. It's been 14 games." That's from Captain JT Miller. Yeah, it isn't cute anymore. It's the same. It's the same story over and over. They've had 4 regulation wins over 14 games. All the buzz coming off the road trip gets squelched with a performance that wasn't terrible. It's not like they got blown out, but the same ugly story keeps popping up its head where they couldn't finish and they go scoreless at home. Now, part of the reason they went scoreless and why it's tough to anoint, a fantastic Kochetkov shutout is because they went more than 20 minutes at one point, end of second into the third, without a shot. In the third period, trying to come back from down 2-0, they really played a bad period. Puck stayed on the wall, stayed on the outside. They couldn't really get any, lockdown zone time where they were cycling and getting good looks. They only had one shot. They got outshot 6-1 in the third, only had one shot, and it was a dump in from outside the zone. It just happened to be on Kochetkov. It wasn't even a real shot. So you could almost say they got blanked in the third, trying to come back from a 2-0 lead. To give you a sense of it, with 16:29 left in the second period, the Rangers were up 22-13 in shots. So they had 22 at that point with 16:29 left in the second. They finished with 25. Only 3 shots, and one of them was a dump in. So a marginal shot at best. And they just couldn't they just couldn't get it going, especially in the third period. Like I mentioned, Panarin had a breakaway. JT had a great rebound chance in the slot. Brodzinski had a grade A chance. Miller wound up with 5 shots. Brodzinski with 3. Nobody else had more than 2. So obviously a low event game. Outside of the first, let's say 13 minutes, and you're just not going to win games that way. Part of it also is the power play has become powerless. Goes 0 for 3. They did the first 2 power plays, in all honesty, looked great. They got 10 shots in the first 2 power plays, 0 on the third. That looked fairly disjointed, and they couldn't really get some set zone time. They fall now to 11.1%, which is worst in the league. Remember, they came into this game second worst in the league, but now they fall to the worst, especially after allowing a power play goal to Carolina's worst power play. So now the Rangers have that title. It's another place where they're not scoring. Mika said after the game, "I don't think I've ever been a part of something like this before in terms of getting looks and not scoring. It's frustrating." And you can feel the frustration. You can feel the frustration throughout the post-game sound. You could hear it from Adam Fox and Igor and JT and Mika. They're tired of getting asked the same questions. Why can't you guys score at home? Why do you play better on the road. So much better on the road, and had this, great carryover from the road, and you come out and can't continue it at home. It's getting old. We're 14 games in. Like JT Miller said, it's not cute anymore. It's 14 games. It's 14 games. And let's just talk a little bit about the top line. I can't even call it the stud line. Putting their three best players, loading up there with Panarin, JT Miller, and Mika Zibanejad. I'll give you some numbers at 5-on-5, and it's not pretty. They played 937. This is from Natural Stat Trick. They played 937 together. They got out attempted 16-8. Scoring chances, they got outscoring chanced 9-1, and their expected goals for percentage was 20%. 20%. Every other line had an expected goals for above 55%. So they're just, I don't know if you abandon that plan and shake up the lines. Don't know if for the next game in Detroit, hey, they go on the road for the next game. The next game Friday in Detroit, if you switch up the lines again, don't know if Trocheck will be back by then, which will necessitate a little bit of a line shakeup. But, if you keep going with this experiment, it's tough because early on they did have chances. Like I said, Miller had a rebound in the slot. Artemi Panarin had a breakaway, but couldn't score. Be interesting to see what they do on Friday against the Red Wings, whether they switch up the lines or keep it as is. Obviously, a lot of it depends on Vincent Trocheck's availability. So that's the nitty-gritty of it all. Not great. Deficient in a lot of areas. Most guys said they played a good 2 periods, but they got the lesser of the net front positioning and chances at both ends. Carolina scores 2 easy goals. The Rangers can't put anything past Kochetkov, never really get in his face and shoot into him quite a bit. They go winless again at home. Like I said, they go on the road on Friday to play Detroit and then come back home against the Islanders on Saturday. So they have a back-to-back, and we'll see if fortunes change. Let's hope. Let's stay positive. Love to hear what you thought about the game. At least they gave it a good run with good chances in the first 13 minutes, but over the rest of the game, they just couldn't put it together and then get totally shut down in the third. Just they wound up playing Carolina Hurricane hockey instead of New York Rangers hockey and got stuck on the outside. It happens. It just unfortunately seems to happen regularly at home. They'll go back to work, and we'll see where it goes from there. Again, connect with me on X and on Instagram at Todd Werwa Media. This is Rangers Daily. I'm your host, Todd Werwa, and as always, thanks for watching.